Hey everyone, I'm Julia Jaxsun. I wrote Dance with the Desert. It is available now at the Boulder Bookstore. Many thanks to the Boulder Bookstore for this great opportunity. I'm going to answer some questions about my book. It's a wild ride, an adventure, a celebration of female friendship, a questioning of reality and the truth and consequences that we navigate to become who we're meant to be.
One of my first questions is what inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, so I was inspired when I was traveling through Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, and I met a group of ladies when I was in the desert, and I went to this really cool glamping campground, and I was sitting in a hot springs tub, and I just thought, wow, this is the magic of the desert. I grew up in New Mexico, and how cool to come back to see what this is like. And I overheard a group of ladies who were traveling together in a giant Airstream, and they were just having the best time. They were just laughing and traveling together. And I wondered, I wonder what their lives are like. And so in that moment, I decided, I'm going to write a book about it. What would their lives be like?
That's cool. And are they the characters in the book? Or how'd you come up with the characters?
Yeah, so they were briefly inspired to become the characters, but I only met them so briefly. It was maybe a 5 or 10 minute conversation. So they're not really the characters in the book. They're all the characters are fictional, but it was just that glimmer of inspiration of what their lives were like.
So there's a lot of themes in your book. Tell me about some of the running themes.
Yeah, the first one primarily is the celebration of female friendship. I think women's stories are so powerful, and we don't always see that a lot. Even just the aspect of, hey, these women are friends. And, we've got Thelma and Louise, we've got some other classics like that, but there's not as many as I think could be out there. And then just celebrating women being people and having fun together and doing quirky, silly things, being on an adventure, because that's really what this book is about. It's an adventure and a discovery of self. So the main character is discovering herself. So yeah, it's women's camaraderie is one theme. Another one is self-discovery too. So this person is really learning how to play instruments and discovering about her life and all these questions that we face in life. Another theme is celebration of the desert. This book is called Dance with the Desert. And so it's about this incredible desert landscape that sometimes people who haven't been around it a lot, they don't really know what it's like, or it feels like it's too dry of a climate. Maybe it's not beautiful, but man, it's really beautiful. And there's something about the desert that lays things just clean and open. In places like the Pacific Northwest are beautiful in a different way. They're full of foliage and it's dense trees, but the desert really kind of lays things bare. It's really rugged and kind of tough, but there's something just really beautiful in these little things that you can find in the desert, whether it's a cactus flower or a road runner, that kind of thing. Then another theme is music, the power of music. These ladies get together and play music together. And there's also a mysterious figure or two that is encountered in the book that represents this kind of mystery in life and the questions that we're always asking ourselves. What is the meaning of all of this and what exists out in the universe? And, why do we do the things that we do in life and the choices that we make? So I would say another theme is this unraveling mystery of our own lives and this autonomy that we have in our bodies and in ourselves to make the choices that we need to make that are best for our lives to become the best person that we can be. And that's what our main character Theo Hart encounters when she is pursuing her own self-discovery and becoming friends with these wild and crazy women in the desert.
And I noticed some drug use in the book. How does that tie in?
Yeah, so the characters, they trip on acid together, chapter 1, this is no spoilers. And it's a kind of more of a thematic theme and a way of picking apart this reality. So it helps these characters become friends because they kind of do something together. It's not to promote drugs at all. It's more so, this strangeness that can start to unravel in the desert and just kind of a questioning of what is life all about.
Kind of mind-opening a little bit too, I noticed. It was kind of making people a little bit more open to some of the characters that they encountered and some of the uniqueness to kind of question what was real and not. And it had me as a reader kind of like really wondering like what the reality was, and it was a fun journey to try to figure that out. And
Right.
maybe you could elaborate on some of that kind of like ambiguity.
Yeah, so that's a great thing that you picked up on, because this is a big theme in the book, is like, what is the reality here? There's something strange and bizarre going on. And you'll find out more in some other books that I'll be writing, that there's something else to this. And the reader is kind of taken on this journey of questioning, okay, parts of this are real, parts of this maybe aren't. And which one is it? And that is another part of it too. And also it's just fun to be just a little edgy and just a little out there of like, sure, why not? These characters, they're getting a little crazy. And so what would this, look like? Yeah.
Well, I thought it worked well with the theme of just kind of, they were in the desert and their minds were open, and there was some characters that they were, encountering that they didn't, fully understand or what it meant. And I thought as a reader, it really it made me question a lot, and I thought that was kind of cool. Were you trying to kind of make the reader question, and were you trying to make any points about that? Or?
Yeah, I think really wanting the reader to question what's really going on here. And I forgot to mention another theme of this book is truth and reality and what that is, because the main characters are first starting off in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, which of course is a real place.
Cool setting.
In New Mexico. And so then there's themes of truth and consequences and what is reality. So having the reader question that too in this setting of Truth or Consequences, I think, is a really fun writing tool.
Oh, that's awesome. And there was some pretty far out there stuff that as a reader I was not expecting. And did you know that going into it, that you had that as a theme, or did it kind of happen as you were writing it?
Yeah, it happened as I was writing. It was kind of this magical process. I'd be writing something, and for me it's such a joy, just the part of writing, that I wanted to convey that joy to readers, to enjoy this wild ride. And so as I was writing, I'd think of something and I'd say, write a plot twist, and I'd be like, oh my God, I did not see that coming. And then I would keep typing. And it was funny doing that, because it's like, I felt like I was watching a movie or reading a novel myself, but I was writing it, and the twists and turns surprised me too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I would say one thing I really wanted to get across is this idea of a better world can exist. So there's this idea of another planet. What would that look like? Could it be a utopia? If it was a utopia, what would that look like? Let's just have fun with this, because this is fiction. And I think a big part of a better world is getting more involvement from everybody and allowing women to participate, not just allowing, but celebrating what women have to bring to the table. So it's not just taking a seat at the table, as some people talk about. It's more bringing stuff to the table. And I think that women and ideas of womanhood are really important to society. So, those stereotypical attributes of compassion and kindness and nurturing, we should just celebrate that in life more. And celebrating women with that, I think, is fantastic. Getting a more balanced yin and yang in life. And so this book kind of talks about that too. But it also talks about pretty heavy stuff. And I think in life we can't avoid, there's going to be heavy things that are going to happen to you. And one of these characters, she's running away from something that she's not wanting to relive, and she's on this journey to the Southwest to discover herself. And she's having to escape something pretty rough. And the reader doesn't know quite yet what's going on, so this story starts to elaborate more and more. But I think that's an important part of life, is how do we get through these tough times? How do we make the choices that we need to become the best version of ourselves that we can? And there's a lot of humor in the book too, so it's got a lot going on. And I intentionally just wrote what came naturally to me to write, what I thought was an interesting story. And it's funny sometimes, it's heavy sometimes, it's joyous. People describe it as like a feel-good adventure that makes you think about things and look at things differently, and to have that social commentary piece to it. So I like to walk that fine line of what's humorous, and then what's also heavy, because that's life. There's going to be tough things and humorous things, and where to find the funny parts of it.